And welcome back to Restless. I don't know about you, but April 1st is one of my favorite days of the year. April 1st is All Fool's April Fool's Day. All Fool's Day. I don't know where that came from.
Do you do the vigil bass for All Fool's Day?
I do yeah, something like that. Well, that's very appropriate to be laughing about that because our topic today is humor. And you've joined myself, Father Joseph, Diane, and Paul, as together we dive deeper into our Catholic faith and some of the joy that comes from our Catholic faith and the joy that comes from really lame jokes. We've got a few of those. We've been telling a few of those to each other earlier, and Paul's was the lamest, but it was a contest, so he won.
No, that was not the joke.
That wasn't the joke? Okay.
The joke. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was just your face.
Yeah.
But,
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I've gotten that before, that's for sure.
Oh, no. So we do actually want to start with a joke. So each of us, Diane said she had a really
contest
bad
for
one.
lamest joke.
Okay, yeah,
so
you got it.
You guys are not going to laugh unless you understand accounting. But
I do understand accounting, so I might laugh.
Okay.
I don't understand
All right,
accounting
ready?
at all.
Are you ready?
Go ahead.
I'm ready.
Okay, what does an accountant say when boarding a train?
Diane's laughing already.
What is it?
I have no idea.
Mind the gap.
Oh, ha, ha, ha.
Gap
ha.
is
Generally accepted accounting principles.
And if you've ever been to London, all you hear in the subway is mind the gap. So when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing because you're laughing because I definitely don't get it.
I like that.
You like it?
that. Yeah,
Okay.
it's better than mind the IFRS. Sorry.
Another accounting term that I don't understand.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
Oh, that was good, Paul.
Paul, please tell us your joke and recover this episode.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
What?
Eyeless fish? Wait, what?
There's no
What
I
do you
in
call a
fish.
fish with no eye?
FSH.
Oh, okay.
It's a
So
lame joke.
what do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea.
Oh, ha, ha, ha. Okay.
That was actually my joke. So
Oh, that was? Yeah.
that was. Yeah. So we
crazy.
didn't promise they were good.
No, I actually like that was a good one. I'm going to use that.
You like it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I really like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm sitting here with two
You're
accountants.
using it at work
and
tomorrow.
I really need Lauren here with me. She's not an accountant, and she would be as confused as I am, and that's okay.
There's more where those came from. So.
I would say spare us, but maybe bring out another one after the break.
Okay. Yeah, I got another one.
So are you, do you consider yourself a funny person?
I would say that people generally either love or hate my very dry, sarcastic sense of humor.
I think Paul's really funny.
I think Paul's funny.
Yeah, he has a very, like you said, dry and sarcastic sense of humor.
I would say that it's coastal, though. Like, I've really upset people that are from the Midwest. No, it's true. Like, they don't do sarcasm very well.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. The Northeast is a unique area anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we communicate through insults. It's fine.
We do, absolutely. And guys do in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have to get on each other. Well, it's with men, it's who can go the farthest and try to be the funniest, because it's always a competition, and then it gets more and more, and then it goes like toward each other, and that's how you actually like push each other to do, like, if you're in a work setting and it's a dangerous, like, terrible work environment, you have to have humor and really good humor to push yourself to actually get through the day. So I think men with humor, especially with one another, is actually like an important part of like human development.
Yeah. Do women do that? Do they like banter in the same kind of like tear them down type?
No, I don't think so.
No, they have deep emotional conversations for hours.
Yeah, I would say deep emotional. Yeah. And then when like girls are interacting, like, I mean, I'm pretty sarcastic, like my brothers and friends and stuff. So I think sarcasm.
Well, with brothers, it's a defense mechanism.
It is a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Yes.
Necessary.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So do you value humans? Do you value humor in others?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're drawn to you're drawn to funny people.
Yeah. And it like just, I mean, you can't just take life so seriously all the time. I mean, you're meant to be joyful, and it helps to relieve stress. So yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I hear people when they're dating, they say like one of the number one things you look for is somebody with a good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is your current girlfriend have a good sense of humor? Be careful.
Yeah.
Because she may be listening.
She thinks I'm funny.
Then she has good taste then.
Things that I find sometimes funny, she may not.
But that's, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. But I find humor in like things that most people don't find humor in. So, like I remember there's this really funny Eddie Murphy bit when he was like his second really famous stand-up special on HBO a long time ago, and he did this whole like 10-minute bit on the ice cream truck and how that's like the most absurd thing that could ever be, that this truck drives around and all these kids come screaming to overpay for ice cream you can get in the grocery store. Like, it's really funny. It's really funny. And so I find humor in those things.
But I think people also have like different, like to your point, different, like find different things funny, right? So like I love the show The Office. I started watching that in high school. I think it's hilarious, but I know other people who like
I don't get it.
Can't stand it.
I've seen a couple episodes and I'm like, I just don't get it.
It's one of those shows you got to watch like a half a dozen episodes at a minimum before you got to learn the
I think
characters.
you got to start from season 1 too. You got to learn the characters. I
Yeah.
think it's so funny.
Oh, it's
I
hilarious.
really don't like Steve Carell.
okay.
Carell. See, I really don't like him as an actor.
Yeah, but you got to
personally.
love Jim and Pam.
Oh, and Dwight. Well, I've
Dwight.
always been considered Dwight, so that's
Dwight
always
is
in
hilarious.
college and high school and my first job and my second job, I've always been Dwight. So
So basically,
It's a
since
trend.
the show came out,
yeah,
it's
pretty much.
like you've
2004,
been
that was the start
role-playing
of high
that
school.
one.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But see, everyone finds different things funny. So
That's very true. Like some people love slapstick, like Three Stooges,
oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
physical humor, like pies in the face and
You
everything.
go. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's well executed, it's funny.
Like
Yeah.
live or fake?
Either one. It's got probably funnier live.
Yeah.
But like some people, like for example, Dumb and Dumber, I've watched that and I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I love Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Which
That's
is-
on my list to watch. So
Oh, you haven't seen it?
no, I haven't.
Also, you'll lose brain cells
Okay,
in
that's
watching
okay.
it and IQ
I think
points.
it's-
Sometimes I
great
think you
movie.
need to lose brain cells in order to relax.
You do, absolutely.
When there's a bunch of like, I won't mention it, but there's so much like meta messaging that they were making fun of stuff in Napoleon Dynamite that if you start reading about like the culture in Idaho, it's even way funnier.
So I should read about the culture before I watch this movie?
No, you don't.
There's
have
a
to. It's
culture
funny
in
regardless.
Idaho?
Yes,
I don't think there's enough people to have a culture in Idaho.
they have
Yeah,
people.
that's a good point.
I apologize if any of our listeners are from Idaho.
Oh, we have all these Idahans all of a sudden. They're like
We
8
just lost
Catholics
our
in
Idaho audience.
Well, as we've been distributing this podcast, apparently we have a big fan in Ottawa, Canada.
Oh,
So
really?
you never know.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
no Ottawa jokes.
No, Ottawa jokes.
London, Ontario, fair game. Ottawa. Oh,
Ottawa
Ottawa's
jokes.
off
Ottawa
limits,
jokes
guys.
just write themselves. So I don't know. You don't even have to try.
right.
So we often think about our faith as being something very serious, and certainly we've dealt with some pretty serious topics here on Restless. But ultimately, it was God who created laughter. And you look at like the platypus, and you're like, that was funny. Like, God, what were you thinking? That's bizarre. I mean, can humor and laughter bring us closer to God? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, I think I go back to like, Jesus had a fully human nature, right? He had human nature and divine nature. So that means that Jesus probably joked, and he was with a bunch of guys that were all friends. They probably joked around and laughed occasionally, or like most of the time, probably, because that's how you
Yeah.
get through life. You have to deal with your trials, and they probably had a good time, every now and again. So, and we don't have a lot of record of that, but if we're alive in our faith and we're able to find humor in things and allow, that gift to permeate in a healthy way, I think that can, allow you to be more faithful if you have that outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you're like faithful and on fire for Christ, like you do have this authentic joy, which then, like why wouldn't that sort of manifest in humor and the like? So I think it could.
I think one of the things about humor is that humor makes us look at the absurdities of life and not take life too seriously,
Yeah.
And I think that's actually hugely important in the spiritual life because like when we look at our own weaknesses, when we look at just like the stuff we have to deal with on a daily basis, we learn like to just laugh a lot of it off.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there's like a sense of detachment too when you're humorous because you're not like sort of attached to your pride or to all of these things. It's like I don't know. It's kind of humbling, and you can just roll with the punches, I guess.
So I was just in Florida for Christmas, and I was with my niece and her parents, and we rode bikes down to a restaurant. We were staying in like a beach area, and we rode bikes down to a restaurant. And of course, we used my niece's. She's 10. My niece's combination lock to lock up the bikes. And so we eat, a couple hours later, watch the sunset, beautiful. We get out. This is also like December 2020, just as a reference. And combination doesn't work. Forgot her combination.
Oh no.
So then it's the 23rd of December, and then I'm on the phone with the local sheriff's department because my 10-year-old niece can't remember her combination to her lock, or it's not working. And so we have to bring the police in to unlock the bike. Now, this is like an hour process by the time the deputy sheriff get there. And like later on that night, I'm like, I'm so glad that happened. That is hilarious. And it happened in 2020 in Florida.
As a wise friend of mine once said, bad decisions make good stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
true.
So true. So true. Yeah. And I just, being a parish priest, there's so many stories of like just absurd things that if you don't laugh, it would drive you insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll never forget at one particular parish, there was a man, people forget when they're in the pews that the priest can see everything they do.
Yeah, it's not like a stage with spotlights where you can't see into
No,
the
I
audience.
see everything. And people forget that. And they're, they're just doing what they're doing. And I'm just kind of like looking sometimes being like, what? Like for example, at my particular church, there are on three separate occasions, different people brought dogs into the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I have seen those dogs.
Yeah.
Like service dogs or
No.
just dogs?
One dog was so small it fit into a purse, and she would bring it up for communion. The dog didn't receive communion, but she, the other one was this big white fluffy thing, I finally told that guy, like, stop it, because it was like a giant, like, sofa, basically, dog. But I'll never forget this one time, nothing to do with dogs, but this one time, this guy in the front pew at the Lamb of God, he's like waving his hands around. He was one of our Eucharistic ministers at St. Mary's in Bethel. And he's waving his hands around during the Lamb of God. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And he comes up, he serves as Eucharistic minister. And afterwards, I was like, dude, Sean, what in the world? It's like this, 50-year-old guy. Like, what in the world were you doing? He's like, yeah, I put too much hand sanitizer on. And I'm like, you totally distracted me at the moment when I'm supposed to be praying the hardest, about to receive Jesus. And you're just like waving your hands. But I was like, that's great. Now I just have to laugh at that. Because
Really
what are you going to do?
About that?
What are you going to do? She's like, no more hand sanitizer for you.
Yeah, it actually must be pretty entertaining to watch all the things that go on at Mass.
Entertaining, but a little distracting.
Oh, yeah.
Not going to lie, a little distracting.
You must get used to it though. Like I always admire the priests or lectors that can keep lecturing or reading the gospel and then or providing the homily and just keep going. And while there's like 30 screaming babies.
The babies I don't mind. I did mind when the guy brought out the newspaper during my homily.
That's not great.
Started to read that one.
Or how about when people like answer their phones during?
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
Well,
seen that.
sometimes
That's
it's
the
the
thing.
elderly
That's not okay.
ladies that answer the phone and say, "I can't talk right now. I'm in mass." Loudly.
Yeah, well, I would be harsher on those people, but it's happened to me. Not to answer, but it's gone off
Like
in my
right-
pocket
yeah,
while
yeah.
celebrating Mass.
Ooh,
Super embarrassing.
ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
under
it's worse
all
for
those
you.
vestments, you can't turn it off. You have to let the whole like ringtone play.
Yeah, and you're mic'd up.
And when it's Katy Perry, I mean, no, just kidding. Just kidding. I don't have a Kate, and I'm just kidding about that. So, we're talking about humor. A lot of the great saints had awesome senses of humor. Do you guys know any of saints that had senses of humor?
Yes.
Diane's got one, but she's Googling it right now.
Yeah. No, I'm a little underprepared. Sorry. It's
That's
busy
cool.
season. But yes, Saint Phil Neary is known for his humor. So I was just reading some stuff that he would do. He seemed. I would have loved to meet him. He seems like, I mean, obviously like super holy man and everything. But just some bizarre things like shaving his beard, I think, like halfway, and then he would like purposely not pronounce words like his entire homily incorrectly. And sometimes would give like the same homily like 6 times in a row, like just doing some really bizarre things. But yeah, he was obviously he was known for his like joy and his humor.
He is the patron saint of humor. Mm-hmm. He is, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember one story from him. So part of his humor was people were starting to notice his holiness, and he was too embarrassed. He didn't want that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like, I'm going to make him think I'm crazy instead.
Yeah.
So he ended up training a pet squirrel to sit on his shoulder
Oh wow.
as a pet, which actually were kind of cool. I'd like to do that, but I mean, how wild would that be, you know?
It
He
would be.
trained a pet squirrel.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be my first choice of pet, but
Yeah, and he like
No.
wore his clothes inside out. He wore a fur cloak through the streets of Rome to make people think he was vain. He carried a pack of brooms and stopped every once in a while and smelled them as though they were scented flowers. Like he shaved only one side of his beard. Yeah, I guess he wanted to be a fool for Christ. But it's just funny because like I read these stories and I'm like I imagine you being him or something. And like, what would I think of you if you gave the same homily like 6 Sundays in a row or like purposely mispronounced all
I don't know,
all the
but
words?
tomorrow maybe I'll just shave half my beard and we'll find out. But there's actually a rich tradition in the faith of being a fool for Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think a lot of the saints were willing to do that. You know, I remember one time at several vacation Bible schools that I was running, like at the last day, for whatever reason, they gave kids pies and they were allowed to throw them in the counselors' faces. And you're like, what's the point of that? Well, I'm just being a fool for Christ. Sure, why not?
I guess you should implement that at your youth meetings, right?
pass.
Oh, come on now, Paul.
Paul volunteers.
Paul
so-
volunteers. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I'll have to set that event up.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. You get it in your mouth. It's delicious.
If it's not shaving cream.
No, it's not.
We'll
It's
make
gotta
it a
be like
flavor that you enjoy.
Okay, I like
Yeah.
banana cream. Thank you.
Okay.
banana cream. Okay,
All right,
we can do
noted.
that. We can do that. When we come back from break, we're going to talk more about how humor can be used in evangelization, but also how humor can be misused and how we have to be careful with this great gift. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Restless. We've been having a rather humorous episode talking about humor. And Diane couldn't stop laughing over break. She's still doing it right now. You ever like, get the case of the giggles and you just can't stop. And like, I think Diane's in that mode right now, partly because she has another joke to tell, but I think it's another accountant joke. So only 3 people out there listening will understand it. But
I might.
Paul is also an accountant, so I'm the only one that has never taken a business course in my life. So, which is bad because I'm going to be a pastor someday. But Diane, go ahead and tell us this obscure random joke here.
Yeah, okay. What did the overworked asset say to the other asset?
I don't know. The overworked asset.
The
about-
overworked
I'm sure it's
asset say to
something about
Say to the other
depreciation.
asset, I feel so underdepreciated.
Okay. That's right. Yeah.
So good.
Our producer, Mr. Lee, over here is just shaking his head. I'll tell a joke that everyone can get. But everyone knows, well, I'll tell a couple. Everyone knows, like, you know, what do you call a cow with 2 legs? Lean beef.
Oh, ha.
What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef.
That's pretty good.
Those are good.
Yeah, pretty bad. One more quick one.
Our general audience will get those.
Yes. So if you're not an accountant, you don't understand. So there are 2 muffins in an oven, and one muffin turns to the other and says, "Man, it's hot in here." The other muffin says, "Ah, talking muffin."
Yep.
Okay. Oh man.
Paul's
I like the
laughing
mind
less-
the gap better.
Paul is laughing less hard than at the depreciation.
Yes, the accounting
I
joke
don't-
wins.
I don't know.
The more obscure the joke, the farther you go, the funnier it is.
That's probably true. That's probably true. So, how can humor be misused? And have you ever had that experience of misusing humor in your life?
Yeah, I think if you're in, let's say, mixed company and you're and you say something that's not that, like, you know, if you have 10 people and 9 out of the 10 find it funny, but that one person doesn't, and it could hurt them. You know, a lot of jokes are at others' expense or something like that. So I think that's where it can be misused, and it's not very Christian-like. So you really have to know your audience, unless it's lean beef.
Any cows listening?
Yeah,
I don't mean it personally. I'm not cutting off your legs.
Right.
That's very true.
No, I agree though. Like, I think some people use humor because they don't want to like directly confront someone, but what they're saying they mean, but they say it, you know, like in a joking way, but they actually mean it. And I think it can be borderline, just abrasive and mean.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's true. I'll never forget one of my friends growing up. His name's Charlie. We used to have a day, I think it was April 24th, the day that we called National Bash Charlie Day. And we called him the Triple Crown of Insults, which is you're fat, you're ugly, and no one likes you.
oh,
And that was kind of like,
poor Charlie.
it was, yeah, poor Charlie. But
Did he
took it-
laugh?
He laughed. He took it all in good
Okay.
stride.
No, no problem.
But then, fast forward a few years, you know, I'm looking on Facebook, and he says, you know, this is the 1-year anniversary of me trying to commit suicide.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and like I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought we were just, you know, joking around, and he took it somewhat seriously.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that a lot of comics they live like the sad clown, like Pagliacci, right? They know how to make others laugh, but they can't make themselves laugh. There's so many stories of comics, stand-up comedians that live very tragic lives.
I think of Robin Williams.
Robin Williams
Perfect
is a big
example,
one.
yeah.
There's lots of others too, and a lot of them that have overcome it. Like Richard Lewis is a big one that I know is had a very hard life, and so there's something about that they get driven off of the audience's laughter, and I think you can get a little bit of like addicted to that, and need that in your life, and then if you push it too far, that's where it can start to hurt others, and then you'll be hurt too, because then they'll stop laughing.
Sure. Yeah, humor can be a mask, I think. Not dealing with
yeah.
issues, just laughing it off when there's something you really should deal with, maybe in your life or your relationships, whatever. Yikes. Yeah. So we do have to kind of be careful with that because it can kind of cross that line. Definitely. But it can also be used for great good. How do you think humor can be used in evangelization? And do you have any cool stories of using humor in evangelization?
Yeah, I mean, I went to when I was living in New York City, I was part of the Frazzati group there, and there was this group of people that were just they wouldn't get up on stage and tell jokes, but they were just like hilarious people to be around, and you just wanted to be around them, And I think that that's one of those things that if you have that type of personality where people are just drawn to you because of something like you're funny, not in an inappropriate way, then all of a sudden it's like you have this now like hook into them, and you can use that for evangelization, whether it's how you live your life or what you say.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like a podcast that I listened to, the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal. They started, it's called Poco a Poco, very good. It's only second to ours. But, they're just, I mean, especially now, like this past season, there's 3 of them. So there's like 2, well, I guess they're triplets, but it's like twins within the triplets, and one other guy. And they make fun of each other. They're just so like, it's almost like immature guy humor sometimes, but I think it's hilarious. And but then they're also, like that almost makes them, like that kind of broke me in. I'm like, oh well, these guys are like normal, like they just kind of, they get what people are going through. They have the same sort of issues, and they're honest about their issues and stuff, and they make fun of them, but then they're also like super just, like they're just guys in love with Christ, and so that side also shines. It almost gives more like you take their faith more seriously because they just seem like normal people, but then that makes their faith just so much more extraordinary. I think
I remember
seeing that.
I was at a Frazzati retreat, and a couple of the CFR, one priest and one brother, was there. And one of the priests figured out, they had like a PA system, and one of the priests figured out how to like modulate the voice and like play with it. And that was it. Like he had like with his brother, CFR brother that was there, he just had a blast with like changing his voice right as he was giving this serious talk. He just starts like modulating, and everyone was like dying laughing. It was great.
It's so
Yeah,
funny.
like
The CFR guys are really
they're
good.
hilarious.
They're-
like they were recording a podcast, and one guy just like it was like 5 minutes to go, like literally 5 minutes, and the guy like you could hear him moving away from the microphone because he like needed to use the bathroom really fast. And the other one, like one of
We're
the
not
brothers,
allowed to do that
he's
here
just-
at Veritas Catholic Radio.
He's just like screaming at him across the room, like, "Where are you going?" Like all that stuff, and it's all live. And then every other episode, he brings back like, "All right, do I need to, like, do you need to check up on you?" Like it's just, I mean, I'm not even explaining it well, but it's hilarious. And then creating a light mood, just I don't know,
That's
it just
so
makes
funny.
it makes them so likable. Even and then when you throw like the faith aspect on top, it's a huge tool for evangelization, I think.
One of the most difficult things in the entire world, probably more difficult than like walking on broken glass, is teaching 8th grade confirmation class.
Ooh, yeah.
Because you are literally, it's a hostile environment. Like they're shooting knives out of their eyeballs the first day because they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Most of them, and that humor is like, that's the key. That's the key. If you can make them laugh day one, you got them.
Yeah.
For the rest of the year, because they'll pay attention because they never know when the next joke's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So like I try to use as much humor with these 8th graders as I can, and sometimes that involves making fun of them.
Oh, that's a must. That's a must. Especially
I hope I don't cross the line, but I don't know. Like one kid this past time, he's like, Father Joe, can you do my wedding? I'm like, dude, you're 14. But I said, come on, man. What kind of girl's going to fall in love with you?
Oh, wow.
The rest of the class, they found it really funny. He was like, what? It's like, it's cool, man. You'll find someone. There's always someone desperate out there.
Ooh.
Crazy cat ladies, whatever.
Oh man.
So I hope I didn't cross the line, but no, humor, yeah, humor.
No,
is
it can be like endearing, honestly, too. Like when someone jokes or like makes fun of you, like it can be very endearing. I think it's attractive.
I think for a lot of people that are very introverted, that don't get a lot of attention and don't draw a lot of attention to themselves, if somebody actually like lightly makes fun of them and gives them that attention, sometimes they just open right up. I mean, it could go the other way, but a lot of times folks just to get that little bit of attention, to know that they're there, it's huge.
Yeah, because introverts, I think they want to be included in the group and they don't know if they are or not. And humor with them in it, is kind of a big part of that.
It can help to open up the shell too, because you feel sort of just shy.
I remember I was in I was in AP chemistry in high school, and we had this very quiet girl. She would never say. She would only like answer questions occasionally in class. She was brilliant. She was probably like number one in the class. And then one time, we had a really funny teacher, and he was like, what does this kid do in his free time? And like just out of nowhere, this girl who sits in the back and is very quiet and brilliant, she just said, "Eating babies." It was, and the whole class, like, we didn't know what to do. It was like a grenade. It was like thrown in, and it was quiet, and then it like exploded. It was the best thing in the whole world.
Sometimes the quietest people have the funniest, like, one-liners.
One-liners. Oh,
one-liners.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. We have this kid in our youth group named Matt, who in the high school youth group.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's like a quiet kid, but he'll just throw out these like one-liners. Like all these kids, like we hadn't seen him for a while because of COVID, so we finally got together in our first youth group and we were just kind of remarking like, we're all sitting down and we're like, man, dude, like you're so much taller now. And the other guy's like, yeah, man, you're so much taller. And so we're standing up and being like, wow, like you're up to my shoulder. You're up to my like eyeball level. And he's like, and he stands up and he's like, I too can stand up.
That's pretty good.
That's random, but yeah, I like that. I like that.
When it's unexpected, I think that makes it funnier.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys to humor is be unexpected. I really think that cheering up the sad should be one of the corporal works of mercy.
Oh yeah.
Because when someone's going through a tough time, sometimes like making them laugh, even through their tears, can just, I don't know, bring them to a whole nother level of.
We should write that in. Yeah.
Yeah, write that in number 8.
So I wish I had that kind of power. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, humor is such a great gift. Such a great gift. Rejoice always in the Lord, it says in Scripture in Philippians. Can you rejoice always, though, in the Lord? Like, even if you're going through a tough time, like, would you still keep your sense of humor, even if it's like a dark time in your own life?
I think that's when you need the sense of humor the most.
Definitely.
Because that might bring you out of it, or at least make it more bearable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's certainly true. That's certainly true. Obviously, in an appropriate way.
Yes.
I heard this funny story about, how LOL, of course, means
laugh
out loud. But there was this old lady who didn't know what LOL meant. So like some mom, so she thought it.
Some
random mom, some random Karen out there. So she thought that.
Sorry to all the Karens.
Sorry to all the Karens. She thought that LOL meant lots of love.
Oh.
And so she was texting her friend who just lost their father and being like, "I just heard you lost your father. LOL."
Oh.
And apparently their kids got a hold of the phone and was like, "Mom, what did you do? Oh my gosh, you just ruined her day."
That's terrible.
Like, yeah, she had to kind of explain that one. But anyway, here's your challenge of the day for Restless. Go and make someone's day brighter by laughter. Tell them a corny joke, a dad joke, which Paul has a lot of.
I have one. I did it. If you notice, I didn't provide a second joke.
That's true. We were actually a little disappointed, but so go and make someone's day brighter, because it can be a great way to bring Christ into a situation. When people see you living your faith with joy and a smile on your face, that's going to draw so many people to the Lord. So don't be afraid to laugh in an appropriate way, in a way that doesn't, tear someone down, but really builds them up and kind of includes them, because it can be a great work of mercy, a great way to show Christ's joy to the rest of the world. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Restless. You can find us on Veritas Catholic Radio, 1350 AM, and wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into our Catholic faith through the... let me fix that. Tune in next time as we try to examine I have nothing. Just tune in next time, okay? Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.